I know you told us today that after practice you were a little bit nervous going in just because you hadn't played in a while. Was there a moment you kind of got over that and said, all right, I'm good, I'm back to where I was before I got hurt? And I think you hit that one step back three that sort of bring sort of some comfort in some ways, the sort of part we saw.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like when I touched the basketball to start warming up before the practice even started, that's probably when I felt pretty comfortable. But I mean,
watch her expression closely, right there. That's not merely the nerves of returning to the court. It's 6 months of isolation, frustration, and doubt finally surfacing. Caitlin Clark just confessed something most superstars never voice aloud. She had to prove herself all over again. After a 7-year streak without missing a single game, the ankle injury that ended her 2024 WNBA season didn't just bench her physically. It cracked her mentally. What unfolded at this USA basketball camp in Cleveland shows just how deep that fracture truly ran.
You previously said that there was no disappointment when you weren't selected for the 2024 Paris Olympics because it gave you something to work toward. Reflecting back on the past year and a half and, making your first senior camp, what does this moment mean for you and why is this the right time for you?
yeah, I mean, I think anytime you can do a USA basketball related camp, or obviously in my past, it's been all junior national teams. And, I've been cut from some of those and I've played for 3 of them. So I think I've experienced both sides of it. And, this is the biggest honor you can possibly have, and playing basketball in our country is wearing USA across your chest. So, I'm just excited to be here and honored. Obviously, it's kind of like the start to the new Olympic cycle. And,
February 2025, USA Basketball Senior National Team Camp. This marks Caitlin's first appearance since the Olympic snub that dominated headlines last summer. Remember the narrative back then? She needs more experience. The team chemistry is already set. She'll get her chance. At least, that's what all the diplomatic explanations suggested, though they never quite added up when you looked at her rookie season stats. 19.2 points per game, Rookie of the Year, single-handedly boosting WNBA television ratings. But here's what nobody saw coming. Between that Olympic disappointment in July and this camp in February, Caitlin Clark essentially vanished. Not by choice. The ankle injury she suffered in late 2024 snowballed into what she describes as a compounding nightmare. One injury led to another. Then the ankle worsened, and suddenly the player who hadn't missed a game since high school was forced to watch from the sidelines, powerless to help her team make a playoff push.
for sure. And I put together a pretty incredible stretch of never missing a game. And, the fact is, when you're a professional athlete, it's going to come at some point. That's just how it goes. I think it's honestly taught me more than I've probably ever learned through the course of my career of, how to take care of your body, how to get right, how to stay healthy, and then just taking time for yourself. Like, obviously being hurt is an incredibly isolating thing, and you don't really understand it until you go through it. And then I think the challenge for myself was just, it was one injury, and then it was like a little better, and then it kind of continued to compound and get worse, and, other things pop up. And then I had the ankle injury. So it feels nice to finally be back to 100%. And in a way, at the end of the WNBA season, like, obviously I did everything I could to try to be able to come back.
That phrase right there, incredibly isolating. This isn't throwaway language. Professional athletes are trained to never show weakness, never admit vulnerability. The fact that she's saying it out loud tells you just how dark those months truly were. And notice what she says next. It took longer than expected. Translation. This wasn't a clean recovery. This was grinding through rehab every single day, watching your team struggle without you, all while carrying the mental weight of wondering if your body would ever feel the same again. The timeline matters. Her injury issues began in late September 2024. The Indiana Fever season ended in October. That gave Caitlin roughly 4 months to get back to 100% before this USA basketball camp. 4 months of daily rehab. 4 months working with trainers who, as she notes, didn't take a break either. They were invested in her success. 4 months of questioning whether that step back three would ever feel natural again.
Obviously, this camp has a lot of younger players. What can you say just about all of you being able to come together and kind of signify this start of this new Olympic cycle, with all of you being together and being so familiar with each other?
Yeah, and I think a lot of us have familiarity, whether we were playing on junior national teams together or whether we played versus each other in college or, obviously playing now versus each other in WNBA, or some of us obviously are teammates as well. So, we know each other pretty well. I think it obviously speaks to the way USA Basketball does such a great job at the junior national team levels of really getting you kind of involved in the program and understanding what USA Basketball is about. You understand how big of an honor it is to be able to do this. And if you're lucky enough to do it, just once, that's incredibly cool to represent your country. So I think for us, like being able to have that and then come into this national team camp together, it just is a thing of comfort, but also like we're all very competitive and you want to be surrounded by the best at the same time. And I think that's kind of the feeling all around for all of us.
Now, this is fascinating. She's talking about her familiarity with the younger players on the USA roster, playing together on junior national teams, facing each other in college, competing against each other in the WNBA. But listen closely to what she's really saying between the lines. This camp represents a generational shift. The old guard, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Sylvia Fowles, they're gone or on their way out. This is the new era, and USA Basketball is essentially signaling, Caitlin, you're part of the foundation we're building toward 2028. That's a massive statement. Remember, just 8 months ago, she wasn't considered good enough for the Paris Olympics team. Now, she's being positioned as a cornerstone of the next Olympic cycle. What changed? Her rookie season happened. The ratings explosion happened. The sold-out arenas happened. The proof arrived. She's not just a college phenom, but a legitimate professional star. And USA Basketball watched it all unfold while their Olympic team struggled to generate the same excitement.
I plan to play in the WNBA. Obviously, that's another thing that we need to get done, so we have a season coming up here. But I think more than anything, it showcases what people think of women's basketball. All of these different opportunities, all these different leagues, the platform that they want to give women's basketball, where they think women's basketball is going to continue to grow. I think that's probably the thing that pops into my mind, is just that of like people are really believing and putting their money where their mouth is, and that hasn't always been the case for women's basketball, no matter how great it's been over the course of the last 25, 30 years. And so I think for myself, like that's probably what I'm most proud of, is just how, excited and people are to really invest and want to support women's basketball.
Right there. That's the money quote. People are really believing it and putting their money where their mouth is. She's talking about Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 league trying to compete with the WNBA. But she's also pointing to something much bigger, the fundamental shift happening in women's basketball right now. For decades, everyone claimed to support women's sports. They said the right things, praised the athletes, but the investment, the real financial commitment, never materialized at scale until now. Unrivaled is backed by serious money. The WNBA just secured a new media rights deal worth $2.2 billion over 11 years, a massive jump from the previous $60 million annually. Expansion teams are selling for $50 million each, and suddenly Caitlin Clark finds herself at the center of a bidding war for her attention. Unrivaled reportedly offered her over $1 million for a short season. The WNBA wants her in their league. USA Basketball wants her available for international competition. This is unprecedented leverage for a WNBA player. And notice how carefully she navigates the question. She doesn't commit to Unrivaled, nor does she reject it. She simply says she plans to play in the WNBA and leaves everything else open. That's the move of someone who understands her value and refuses to limit her options.
Kara's, obviously she knows just as good as anybody else what USA Basketball is all about, winning a gold medal. And then additionally, like she's been a part of a lot of different Olympic teams, whether it's 3-on-3 stuff, whether it's obviously an assistant coach at the last gold medal. But I think it's just the energy she brings. And I think that impacts every single person in the gym. And I think that's a really powerful thing as a coach. So I think that was, this is really my first time around Coach Kara as well. Like I don't have a prior relationship with her. So obviously it's been good to get to know her over the course of this first few days. But I think for myself, it's just the energy and the competitive spirit that she brings as a coach. I think that's really impacts players and what they want to bring on the court as well.
Coach Cheryl Reeve, that name carries serious weight. 3 WNBA championships with the Minnesota Lynx, assistant coach for Team USA at the Paris Olympics, and now stepping in as head coach of the national team. Caitlin's talking about Reeve's energy and competitive fire. But there's a subtext worth noting. Reeve was part of the coaching staff that left Caitlin off the Olympic roster last summer. She attended those meetings. She was part of that decision. So, what does it mean that Reeve is now leading the program Caitlin is entering? Is this a fresh start? Is it Reeve's way of correcting what many considered a mistake, or simply the natural evolution of the program? And Caitlin's Olympic snub is ancient history now. The answer probably matters less than the optics, because from the outside, it looks like USA Basketball is determined not to miss the Caitlin Clark era twice.
Well, first of all, obviously it's great to see Cam. Last time I played USA Basketball, I'm pretty sure she was on the team, or maybe that was 2 times ago, but she was actually my roommate one of the times that I played USA Basketball. So I've known her for quite some time now, and then obviously throughout college continued to build our relationship, and then even now professionally. So it's always good to see people that you've known for 5+ years and even longer now. I mean, it was the U16 team was the first team I ever played on, and I think I was 15. So it's been almost 9 years now, which is pretty incredible, the course of this journey. And then golfing wise, I'm not really quite sure who's all big into golfing in the WNBA. So I don't know, maybe I'd love to get out there and play with some different players, but I put the golf clubs away now. I'm truly focused on basketball. It makes my body a little bit sore. So I'd rather just stick to basketball, but I love it. And it's always great to be outside. And obviously the weather is not too hot in Indianapolis or Iowa at the moment for me to be golfing at all. So
Cameron Brink, that's Caitlin's roommate at this camp. And that detail is far from insignificant. Brink and Clark share a history going back 9 years to the U16 national team. They've progressed through the USA basketball system together, understanding what it takes to represent the country at the highest level. Now, they're both professional players vying to establish themselves in the national team hierarchy. But here's what makes this reunion especially compelling. Cameron Brink suffered a torn ACL in June 2024, ending her rookie WNBA season. So, you have 2 of the most hyped rookies from the 2024 draft class, both managing significant injuries, both grinding through recovery, and both showing up at this camp to prove their bodies are ready. That shared experience creates a bond. They understand each other in ways healthy players simply can't. And then there's the golf comment. She's putting the clubs away, focusing solely on basketball, ensuring her body doesn't get sore from anything that won't directly improve her game. That's the mindset of someone who's learned a hard lesson about self-care, someone who won't risk anything that could compromise her availability ever again.
So hard. I haven't taken a break since, honestly, since the beginning of the WNBA season, with just all my rehab and getting back to where I wanted to be and then getting even better. So that's been kind of my focus. And this has kind of been my next thing that I've been working for since our season ended, and just really thankful for, the training staff and player development and everybody that has kind of been there with me. They haven't taken a break either, because they invest a lot of time and they want me to be successful. So I think for myself, it's not proving it to yourself again, but it's just that feeling. And I think it just made me smile quite a bit. I really did kind of feel like myself out there and just continuing to get my lungs back. But I felt like I was moving really well. So it was pretty satisfying.
Thanks.
Here's what makes this entire situation so compelling. Caitlin Clark spent 7 years, without missing a single game. High school, college, that unprecedented streak of availability made her one of the most reliable players in basketball at any level. Then she reaches the WNBA, plays through an incredibly demanding rookie season under pressure unlike anything she had experienced before, and her body finally says enough. The ankle injury wasn't just bad luck. It was the culmination of years of wear and tear catching up, and what she learned during those months of rehab: how to take care of her body, how to stay healthy, how to be a better teammate, even when she couldn't play. Those lessons may end up being more valuable than anything she could have learned on the court. Consider the mental fortitude required to go from being the most dominant player in college basketball to an Olympic snub, to an injured rookie watching her team lose without her, to this moment at USA basketball camp, where she's smiling again because she finally feels like herself. That's not just physical recovery, that's psychological resilience. And it's exactly what you need to survive at the highest levels of professional basketball. The USA basketball camp represents a turning point, not just for Caitlin's career, but for how she approaches the game moving forward. She's no longer the invincible college star. She's a professional who's been humbled by injury, who understands her body's limits, who knows what it feels like to be isolated and helpless. That experience either breaks you or makes you stronger. Based on what we saw at this camp, the smile when she touched the basketball, the confidence in her movement, the gratitude toward the trainers who stayed with her through the grind, it's clear which direction she's heading. USA Basketball made a choice last summer to leave her off the Olympic roster. Whether that was the right basketball decision or not, the message was clear. You're not there yet. Now, 8 months later, after a Rookie of the Year season and a humbling injury recovery, they're bringing her into the fold. They're positioning her as a cornerstone of the next Olympic cycle, betting on the Caitlin Clark who shows up in 2028. But here's the thing about Caitlin Clark. She doesn't forget. She remembers being cut from junior national teams. She remembers the Olympic snub. She remembers every slight, every doubt, every time someone said she wasn't ready, and she uses it. That chip on her shoulder isn't going anywhere. If anything, the injury just added another layer to it. So when you see her at this USA basketball camp, smiling because she feels like herself again, don't mistake that for satisfaction. That's not someone content with where she is. That's someone who just got back to the starting line and is ready to prove everyone wrong all over again. The Olympic snub motivated her. The injury humbled her. And now, she has both fuel sources running at the same time. The next few years will be fascinating because we're not just watching a talented player recover from injury. We're watching someone who's been through the full cycle: dominance, rejection, injury, recovery, and is emerging with a clear understanding of who she is and what she's capable of. That's dangerous for opponents, for doubters, for anyone who thought the Caitlin Clark era might be over before it even began. USA Basketball sees it. That's why she's at this camp. The WNBA sees it. That's why the new TV deal is worth billions. Unrivaled sees it. That's why they're offering her $1 million. Everyone sees it except the people still stuck on the narrative that she's overhyped, overrated, or not ready for the big stage. Those people are going to have a very difficult few years ahead because Caitlin Clark just showed us exactly what's coming. She worked through 6 months of isolation and injury to get back to 100%. She didn't take a break. Her trainers didn't take a break. And now, she's back on the court, smiling, moving well, feeling like herself again. That's not the end of a comeback story. It's the beginning of the next chapter. And if you're not paying attention yet, you're already behind.